Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. On today's video we are going to be ranking the top 5 managers at Manchester United post Sir Alex Ferguson. With the manager merry-go-round that Manchester United have been on, trying to reach back to its former glory, who has been the best manager post Sir Alex Ferguson? We've had some peaks, we've had some troughs, we have managed to pick up a couple of trophies in there as well, but we have never got back to that former glory that we experienced under Sir Alex, and a lot of people have different opinions. In this international break, I've seen people saying we should get Ole Gunnar Solskjær back in charge. I've seen people saying Erik ten Hag won't last till Christmas. I've seen people saying, we never should have let go of Jose Mourinho. They might be correct on that one, to be fair. But we've had so many different managers post Sir Alex and none of them have worked out so far. Is Erik ten Hag going to be the guy? So many people talking about his future. So we're going to rank the top 5 managers post Sir Alex Ferguson together. Make sure you get yours down in the comments. Goldbridge has sent me his top 5. They're different to mine. Exclusive. They are different to mine. Probably be different to yours. Everyone will have different opinions on this. So get yours in the comments. Be very interested to know, are you thinking about trophies? Are you thinking about win percentages? Are you thinking about, just vibes, good football? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm expecting to see a lot of Ole Gunnar Solskjær's top because that's how it feels right now in the international break. But I've weighed everything up, how I enjoyed watching the games, the trophies, everything like that. And I've put my top 5 together. So let's get cracking, and I'll reveal Goldbridge's at the end as well. So, little shout out to David Moyes. He didn't quite make the top 5. He ended up in 6th. His win percentage was actually all right on 52.9%. Won a Community Shield as well against Wigan Athletic, 2-0 in his first, day as a manager at Manchester United. Well, his first game as a manager at Manchester United, like a competitive game. So he won a Community Shield, so fair play to him. That's more than a couple of other managers have done in their time at Manchester United as they've come in as a manager post Sir Alex Ferguson. But let's be honest, David Moyes was an absolute car crash. It was the same team that Sir Alex Ferguson went and won the league with, and people will still say, I don't know how Sir Alex Ferguson went and did that. He got done in a little bit with a transfer window. Fellaini and Mata wasn't an absolutely stunning transfer window for David Moyes, but let's be honest, the football was horrendous. It was absolutely nothing to what we were used to, and it was a big fall from grace. So David Moyes, respect what he's done since, but he was never ever a Manchester United manager, and that was the complete wrong appointment at the time. I still stand by, we should have gone and got Jose Mourinho at that moment in time, and that was a mistake from Manchester United. So Moyes doesn't quite crack the top 5. In 5th is Ralf Rangnick, a fan favourite, I do know. Ralf Rangnick is a fan favourite, but 29 games, won 11, drawn 10, lost 8, a 37.9% win percentage, obviously 0 trophies. He didn't really have much time in charge. He was basically an interim manager. But Ralf Rangnick, I do think Manchester United themselves did him dirty because he was meant to stay on as a sporting director role, never got that opportunity because he was too honest about the club. And what I do respect, which is why he's above David Moyes, is because he came out and called it for what it was. He said we needed open heart surgery. He revealed the issues behind the scenes. He said there was 10 players that needed to go, 10 players that needed to come in. And also, credit to Ralf Rangnick, he actually put some names forward, which was supposed to be his job, about players we should go and get. Gvardiol, Luis Diaz, Julian Alvarez, Vlahovic. I mean, he talked about a lot of players that have gone on to do really well and saying how Manchester United should have gone and got them. He got no support in the January window. The season was practically wrote off already. He was basically a dead man walking when he came into the job. He had no support around him. He had his hands tied behind his back massively. So although the football was super poor under Ralf Rangnick and, the results weren't good either, they were horrible to be honest with you, he actually had some guts about him. He did play Elanga over Rashford in some games because he wasn't happy with the way Rashford was applying himself. He wasn't fearful to put big names on the bench, and he also spoke his mind as well. So Ralf Rangnick, for me, goes in there in 5th, wasn't great, but I still stick by the fact if he would have actually had support and backing, he would have done a lot better. Look how good he's doing with Austria. I mean, Austria were way better than England, and they've got next to none of the talent that England have. Still got a couple good talents, but nowhere near the talent that England had. And in the World Cup, they massively impressed. Not the World Cup, sorry, the Euros, massively impressed. Ralf Rangnick is a good manager, and I think he would have been an even better sporting director for Manchester United. But in another life, Dan Ashworth's here now, and I think Dan Ashworth is going to do a really good job. Very impressed with the way he's been speaking so far. So Ralf Rangnick goes into 5th. Now into fourth, Ricky, I can feel him ringing me as I'm speaking this because he'll definitely be watching this video, so shout out to you, Ricky. It's Ricky's favourite manager. It's Louis van Gaal. And the reason Louis van Gaal is in fourth, because Louis van Gaal, credit to him, won an FA Cup, got sacked the next day. I mean, this is how far our standards have slipped. If, you know, the manager wins the FA Cup now, you'd be thinking to build a statue of him outside Old Trafford. I mean, that's hyperbole. We won't go that far. But, you know, Erik ten Hag won the FA Cup and everyone was waxing lyrical about it. Yes, it was against Manchester City, the best team in Europe, in my opinion, in terms of one of the hardest to beat. But, you know, it's still, like, winning an FA Cup and being sacked the next day is kind of unheard of right now for Manchester United. I mean, it nearly happened with Erik ten Hag, but it would be unheard of. Louis van Gaal did have some success in that sense. He won a trophy, which is more than what, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjær managed to do, even though he's higher up on this list and for me had better football. But the reason why Louis van Gaal is in fourth is because I remember watching football while Louis van Gaal was in charge and it bored me to tears. It generally bored me to tears. I remember how it was more exciting watching paint dry. Apart from, you know, remember that game against Leicester where he had the sending offs and it was crazy. And he did have his antics, you know, in the press conference, coming out with them little comments, you know, falling on the touchline. He was exciting in that respect. But Louis van Gaal as a manager was more exciting than his football was. For me, it was... I was falling out of love with football when Louis van Gaal was manager. If you just look at his stats, 102 games, 54 wins, 24 draws, 24 losses. The same amount of draws as losses, like, says it all in terms of how boring the football was. 52.9% win percentage. So Louis van Gaal, yeah, goes into fourth place for me. Just really did make me lose a bit of love for watching Manchester United, but brought us some funny memories in terms of on the touchline. And what I will say is, I know for a fact, and this happened with Mourinho as well, he never got, you know, his first choice signings. It was fourth and fifth choices. He's come out and spoke super negatively about Manchester United since. He advised Jurriën Timber not to come to United. I think he advised Erik ten Hag not to take the job at Manchester United. He said it was more, you know, it wasn't a serious like football institution. It was more like a business. So I get where Louis van Gaal kind of fell down and other managers fell down. The structure around him was horrific and he didn't get any of the signings he wanted. So in that respect, I feel bad for him, but the football was abysmal. So he is going in to fourth. Now, into third, despite all the Ole Gunnar Solskjær revisionism at the moment and how much people want him to be back and how much everyone thought Ollie Ball, he was so close yet so far, Ole Gunnar Solskjær goes into third spot. Now, I loved Ole Gunnar Solskjær as a player. You know, the treble, everything he did for Manchester United as a player. You know, I loved him as a player. So much respect for him. And I also have so much respect for him as a manager. I'd always wanted it to work out. I was Ollie in right until the end. I didn't want, you know, as a manager, you feel a closer connection when they've been a player and they've done so much for you. You could tell how much he loved the club. You know, had a mixed Norwegian accent with a Manchester accent. He was proper man. He wanted it to work. And I think he was close. He was close. The one thing I would say about Ollie is, looking back, I think he did get a little bit of disrespect in when people just said it was, you know, just vibes FC. To win games of football like he did, you know, the goals that we scored, maybe I took that for granted at the time because we could score goals under Ole Gunnar Solskjær. And we had some entertaining games of football, but I think people forget the bad times as well. You know, the whole McFred saga, there was only so far we could go with that. Maguire and Lindelof, there was only so far we could go with that. But then again, Ole Gunnar Solskjær did want Jude Bellingham. He did want Declan Rice. He did want Erling Haaland. This guy was a scout. Like, this guy was really good at identifying talent. But unfortunately, under Ole, I just don't think he had enough experience and enough tactical prowess to go on and reach that next level. But the one thing I'd say, coming second to that Manchester City side, I think it's slept on. And I do think he's a massively underrated Premier League manager as well. I think with the squad he had, he did really, really well. I just don't ever think he was the manager to take us to the next level. I always thought he was the manager before the manager. You know, before the Erik ten Hag we hoped it would be. Whether it is going to be Erik ten Hag, who knows? At the moment, it's touch and go. But I always thought Ollie was the guy to bring back, you know, the positive feelings around Manchester United, help us climb the table a little bit, give us some stability, and then it'd move on to the guy who can actually go and compete at the top. I don't think We never pass through the counter-attacking football. We never pass through, we're going to go and dominate a side. That's what Ole Gunnar Solskjær lacked. But 176 games, 96 wins, 38 draws, 42 losses, a win percentage of 54.5%. Not too shabby, but not amazing. Trophies, 0, and that's what let Ole Gunnar Solskjær down. No one's going to talk about the semi-finals and the finals you were in. Europa League final was massive. You know, that penalty, he literally lost out on a trophy due to a penalty. You know, the FA Cup semi-finals and he got so far, but he always stumbled at the final hurdle. And at the end of the day, it's results-based business. And managers have been able to come into Manchester United since then and win trophies. And Ole was never able to do that. But wish all the best to Ole. I would also say the fact he's not been given like a big job since is kind of an indication of how he was never at that level to go right to the top. But I thought what he did with that team was really, really good and he accomplished a lot. So always send my best regards to Ole Gunnar Solskjær. Have so much respect for him and I really like him as a guy and as someone who's close to Manchester United. Now, time for the top 2. Is it going to be Erik ten Hag in second or is it going to be Jose Mourinho in second? Get in the comments your top 5 before I reveal it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Who's it going to be? Okay, in second spot, it is current manager Erik ten Hag. And the reason why he's in second place is because, 1, finishing 8th last season was just unacceptable. And 2, at this moment in time, I would have expected more for him. Jose Mourinho finished second to that Man City team. And if the 115 charges, happen, some would have argued he should have a Premier League trophy, potentially. Because in that moment of time, that's when City were being accused of breaching the rules. Whether that comes into fruition, we don't know at the moment. It's not been said yet. But if them 115 charges do get charged, then Jose Mourinho coming second to that Manchester City team and the points that he got, he could be entitled to a Premier League trophy, some would say. Also won the Europa League and won the League Cup as well. I think winning a European trophy is absolutely massive. And I just think Jose is an elite level manager and he's proved that throughout his career. I don't think Ten Hag has proved he's an elite level manager yet. But Erik ten Hag, win percentage, 56.7%. So more than Ole, more than Van Gaal. He has still got a higher win percentage. Everyone in the international break saying we should get Ole back. Ten Hag's win percentage is higher. 118 games, he's won 67, he's drawn 17, and he's lost 34. So the losses are big. The losses are big with Erik ten Hag, and so many of them losses we should have converted into draws or even wins. Some would say he's lucky with some of the games he's won in terms of the goal margins we've done it on. The criticisms of Erik ten Hag is we need to be dominating, we need to be showing a style of play, we need to be scoring more goals. But again, results-based business. 2 years in the job, 2 trophies won. He's won a League Cup, he's won an FA Cup. His job this year is to crack into the top 4 and win a Europa League. He does that, then we'll talk about if he moves up to number 1 in the rankings. But it's not been a great start to the season so far. But in number 1, and who has been our best manager post Sir Alex Ferguson, for me, it's got to be the special one. It's Jose Mourinho. And should he have been sacked at the time? Should he have been given more time? I mean, I don't like to look back at the past and go back in time, but I do think Jose was sacked unfairly. I think we chose the players over him. I think if he was in the job now, in terms of, obviously at the time, I think now he's been and gone and, he's in his Fenerbahce era and, he's in the Turkish league, he's kind of had the greatest moments of his career. But if it was the structure now, then I think he would have stayed because it's completely changed at Manchester United. He wanted to get rid of Martial. He was never allowed to do so. By the way, I really rated Martial and I think he's a top player, but did he ever really go on to hit the heights we thought he was in Manchester United? Was Jose Mourinho right? Obviously, the falling outs with Pogba and everything like that. But I think Jose, if he would have had the backing of the board around him and he had the right people around him, I think he would have stayed in his job and potentially could have come back from what was his downfall. It was a bad spell of results. He did lose the dressing room. He ended up going. But coming second to that Manchester City side, again, great achievement. The Europa League, I remember that day, it was brilliant. Jose Mourinho is the top manager and what he's done in the Premier League in general. I always remember 3 for me, how many for the other managers? I can't remember the exact quote, but he was legendary in his press conferences, post-match interviews. He had a brilliant personality. He knew football through and through. He knew how to win and he knew how to win trophies. Jose Mourinho, for me, so far is the best manager post Sir Alex Ferguson, but Erik ten Hag is coming for that top spot if he can turn the tide, but he needs to do that very, very quickly, because it's looking like he could go down the same path as the Ole did, the Jose did. You know, you get into your third season, cracks start to show, do you lose the dressing room, fans start to get disgruntled, and sometimes, well, the majority of the time, it's the running theme for Manchester United, the plug is pulled. Erik ten Hag, a lot of faith in him, 2 trophies in 2 years, but we need to see the style of play, and we need to see it quickly. Get in the comments down below who your top 5 managers are. Just to quickly go through who Goldbridge's were. So Goldbridge's had Moyes in 5th. He said, total prat for dismantling everything. Ole in 4th, legend but limited, which is proven since he's had no job since. 3rd was Rangnick. I mean, third for Rangnick is absolutely wild. I don't agree with that. The football, I know Rangnick has a good reputation, but the football, if we're judging it based off United, no way he should be above Ole Gunnar Solskjær. But Goldbridge said, disrespected and thrown into the most toxic United side ever, but actually had the plan to get us out. I mean, that's a fair enough comment. 2nd, he said, just Ten Hag, nearly went 1, but Jose did Carabao and Europa in 1 season and finished 2nd in another. And he said, 1st, Jose, for all the reasons behind, but it's close on those 2 as they have both won the most trophies. And that's all that matters, as in general, football wasn't great with any of them. I think the football under Ole was probably the best. Ten Hag in his first season, it was good. I don't know where that's gone, but it needs to be resolved very, very quickly. Also, Jose actually won a Community Shield. Erik ten Hag didn't win the Community Shield, so if you count a Community Shield, he's just ahead. But look, everyone, get your comments in down below. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Goldbridge? Where have we gone wrong? Have we got it right? Get in your comments, hit a like on the video, and also let us know, will Erik ten Hag get this season to get into #1 spot? We'll see you on the next one, everyone.